Okay, I guess we'll get started. Um, Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our webinar series. I'm going to share my slides first so that we can get going. I hope everyone can hear me really well. Give me a second here. Okay, perfect. So I know my name says Brian Alfaro here. He's actually the Director of Investor Relations here at Hedwig Capital. This is for some reason it shows that, but my name is Anam Umar, and I am a co-founder and Director of Business Development at Hedwig Capital. So, moving on to our webinar series, thank you everyone for taking out time this evening to attend our monthly webinar series. Of course, there are a few of us who do these webinars, which are primarily for education purposes. A lot of questions that we, get along the way while talking to investors. We try to address those questions in the form of webinars so that people have information with them, people have slides and kind of reference material to refer to, as well as an opportunity to ask questions if they need to in future. Again, the topic of our webinar today is 7 expenses you need to plan for when retiring. Now, this is, of course, a simple topic for some because hopefully, most of us have started planning for retiring already, but does include some things that we may not be considering, and it's never too late to start thinking about it. So this is our Hedwig Capital investor relations main connection number. It's 281-559-7061. You can reach out to us or request slides or set up a phone call through this number. So this would be a reference number that you should keep and save for yourself. Again, going over our disclaimer, this is very, very important that this webinar is for education purposes only and should not be used as legal, accounting, or investment advice. The information in this webinar does not represent, of course, an offer to sell or solicitation of an advice you all to consider legal matters regarding your investments or any tax specific questions. Now, of course, the deals or the assets that we talk about or that Hedwig Capital has to offer, we've thoroughly vetted them, and this is what we provide after we offer it to investors after a lot of research, a lot of background check, a lot of paperwork, a lot of numbers that we have run and calculated. However, ultimately, we do advise investors to make sure that this is something, this is an investment opportunity that they feel comfortable with, and for that, they should take second advice from someone that they trust, like their own attorneys or financial advisors. So a little bit about Headway. Headway Capital was designed to build and protect the wealth of busy professionals. My husband and we started Headway Capital back in 2017. Initially, the sole purpose of founding or coming up with Headway Capital was because we wanted a secure place, secure sort of platform to invest our own wealth and to build it. So that was how Hedwig Capital kind of came into being. My husband, Sid Shamim, who is the founder and CEO of Hedwig Capital, has had a lot of experience for many years in single family investment of single family assets before we went into multifamily, which was our first big leap that we took with Hedwig Capital under Hedwig Capital's wings in 2017. So before that, we were managing single family properties, and I think a lot of people kind of feel comfortable starting off like that, and we did too, and that's what we were doing. We at one point had a portfolio of up to 30 houses that we were managing, but of course, I think it was soon enough that we realized that it was a lot of work with very, limited gain. And of course, we weren't building the momentum that we had envisioned for ourselves. So that's how we came up with Headway Capital. And started multifamily investment, started offering multifamily investment opportunities, and it's been a very successful journey since. So we'll talk about a couple of numbers. I'm Anam Umar, as I already introduced myself. I am a consultant gastroenterologist, actually, but I do love and enjoy being part of Headway Capital. I am the director of business development. I really enjoy or spend my time or whatever extra time that I have with doing strategic planning for our company's growth, talking to investors, answering any questions. We have a lot of physician investors who prefer to talk to a physician, so I'm here for them and for anybody else as well. So that's a little bit about me. Then we have Brian Alfaro here, who's Director of Investor Relations, has a wealth of knowledge in single family and multifamily real estate opportunities. Of course, he would be the key person to reach out to. He's the point of contact for all investors. Has been doing, has been in with real estate for many, many years. Similar to us, initially started with a single family portfolio as well before he jumped onto commercial real estate. And before joining Henry Capital, he was also working with a very exclusive boutique sort of practice, boutique sort of company. But eventually, we were very, very fortunate that he joined and became a part of our team. We also have Omar Naqvi here, who's the Chief Financial and Investment Officer. Omar, of course, manages all the financials. It is and any paperwork or so needed by our investors, and he would be, somebody who you would be frequently talking to if you were an investor with Headway Capital. So a little bit about Headway Capital. We have about 539 billion assets under management. It's a little bit more. This is a slide that we kind of have to update, but that equals to a little bit above, upwards of 3,450 units under management under Headway Capital. We have estimated about an average annual return of 25 to 30% for people who invest in long-term investment opportunities. So this is not a pref return. This is not a return that we offer for a year. This is going to be the final return that we would offer at the end with long-term investments at the end of final sale. This is what you would expect to have. This is what the expected return is on your initial investment. It's 25 to 30% per year of the number times the number of investment years that you keep your investment with Headway Capital. We have about 430 plus active investors. It's grown to about 480, I would say, around that line now, who invest with Headway Capital. Many of them are very close friends of ours, of course, and keep trusting us, and we're very fortunate to have them as well. So this kind of the how we came this far. Headway Capital has been from the very beginning. We've been very, very focused. I think we are in this together. That's what we believe. We are the capital shareholders in our investments as well. It's not that we truthfully believe in all the assets that we acquire and invest significantly in them. So it is our money, it is your money, which is invested into our assets, and we try our best to get the maximum out of it. We make consistent efforts to improve our team, our processes, our due diligence process particularly, and always look for more feedback from our employees, from our staff, as well as from our investors, and enjoy having them involved in the company's growth. We're open to feedback, and a lot of investors hence feel very comfortable with investing with Henry Capital repeatedly because they do truthfully feel that they're a part of our team. We've been very disciplined and very purposeful through the entire process, and I feel like that's been why we've fortunately been so successful. So a little bit about going over starting our webinar now. So the first and foremost topic would be retirement planning. Why is this important? I think particularly since COVID, even a little bit before, the younger generation now is definitely looking into early retirement options. People do realize that there has to be work-life balance, and there has to be a time when they have to kind of dedicate time to themselves. So this is a kind of a newer concept, but despite that, I think even if you're not looking for early retirement or being financially independent early, I mean, everybody does dream of it, but even if that's not early retirement is not your goal, I think retirement planning is something that is very, very important, and everybody needs to focus on it. And there's no, any age, there's no young age. The no matter how young you are, you should start focusing on it. The sooner you start, the better the outcomes you have. So to plan for a successful retirement, it is crucial for you to have a general idea of what or how much you would need to essentially retire. If you're retiring early, of course, you would need more money, and you should have been used to keep generating that money and kind of never end a debt stop or always have enough emergency funds in case a catastrophe arises. So those are the kind of things that you plan for. Passive income can definitely offset the cost of living in retirement. So you should definitely focus on investing and having passive income opportunities, because that is something that you at that point you would not be working, which is what our goal is, but you will continue to receive passive income, and that should offset a lot of your living expenses once you retire. So one should, first and foremost, when you're planning retirement, you have to look for your big expenses. So housing is one of the largest expense that you have. Some people, when they retire, they choose to downsize. Of course, some people have the mindset of paying off their house early, using a lot of their savings to actually pay off that house, which may or may not be a good strategy. It's a very personal choice. But ultimately, we can talk about that at a different time. But irrespective of if your house is paid off or not, you will still have taxes, you will have insurance, you will have age of fees. So you definitely need to budget for that. So that would be in addition to your mortgage, you definitely need to budget for all the extra expenses and the house's maintenance expense that can be quite considerable, including in addition to the property tax and insurance that you will be paying. It is never, you should always think about downsizing. That is something that is in my mind as well. But I think we don't, a lot of us may not consider it as an option. But however, I think once you retire, depending on what trajectory or where you're at with your life, I think downsizing may be an option that may work for me. Then, in addition to that, you should kind of think about stuff for you all. And there was a stat that would seem like pretty accurate for me, that which stated that every individual, once they retire, they're above 65 years of age. So if you're retiring early, it should be a little bit more, irrespective of you being healthy and young before 65. But you should have about $265,000 per person. You should have that saved in healthcare, for healthcare expenses. And that seemed like a fair number, irrespective. I know we you understand that Medicare kicks in at age 75, but it still may not be enough. Um, Depending on your needs later, you may need additional care or assistance, and you should always factor in for that. Um, always keep inflation in mind. That is something you should always account for when you're calculating your future expenses. Healthcare costs is, of course, one of the fastest growing expense that there is out there right now. You should always plan for your taxes. Of course, people who don't, you may be doing Roth, but additionally, most of us do have traditional 401ks, which are tax deferred. And you have to factor in that you will be paying taxes on your traditional 401ks. You should definitely, if you're not doing Roth IRA or backdoor Roth, irrespective of what you were doing, if you're a high income professional, Roth IRA, backdoor Roth is an option for you. You should definitely think and max Roth out, because then you have paid your taxes and your money pretty much goes tax free. So that should definitely be something that you should think of early. And if you're not doing that right now, get on it. Portions of Social Security could be taxed too, depending on your income, and there are required distributions from tax to deferred accounts to avoid penalties. So those are the kind of rules that you have to keep in mind. You should always account for emergency home repairs. We all know how that is. Once you become a homeowner, your expenses just keep growing. Automobile repair, replacement costs, of course, unexpected emergency health issues. And you should always have about 6 months of cash on hand. Some people say about 3 months of cash, but I personally believe you should have 6 months of emergency cash in hand at all time that you can immediately withdraw and have it available in case an emergency arises. So that would be something that you should always prepare for. Traveling is one of my, I personally love traveling. You should definitely plan for if somebody is planning on traveling after retirement, that is something that you should plan and factor in as well. And you should always figure out what your hobbies are, how you would plan on enjoying life. Would you like to see the world? And that is something you should budget for as well. In addition to that, of course, groceries expenses, food expenses, and hobbies are things that you have to factor in and enjoy your social life once you retire as well. I think this is something that is really important, that if you're young, you may not be thinking about that, but I think passing off to your next generation should be something that you should think of. For some people, this may not be important at all, but for some, this may hold a lot of value. So definitely think of how much you want to pass down to your next generation and in what form that it is going to be. You could or should consider if it is important for you to contribute or donate it to charitable causes, how much would that be? And how does that factor in after you retire? And these are the things that you would work with your financial planner to set financial goals for yourself, and do investment planning to get there. So definitely just a couple of things that you should be thinking of while you're planning for your retirement. And now I think moving on a little bit about how passive income would help you sort of kind of get you to an early retirement or feel comfortable with retiring early if you wanted to, or even if you did not choose that. I think once you do retire, having passive income really helps to offset your living expenses. Now, passive income would be income that you would be getting without working. That is an income that is going to be coming in from your investment that you've invested already in the past. A lot of people ask me what even passive income means because they're starting off early. That means that you are not working. You have invested. You are getting money off of your investment, and that money is being used to offset your living expenses. For some people, They calculate their expenses and then decide that they're going to invest this much X amount of money in X number of years and then get passive income off that X amount of money, and that passive income would be their actual living expense. So that could be a strategy that may work for you. I think it's very comforting to have enough passive income to offset your living expenses. So that would be definitely be something that you may be interested in thinking of, rather than be like, I've heard things like that my house or whatever X million dollars would be my retirement, or my, this particular asset is my retirement plan, which may be reasonable, but who knows how much, you may need in future, and your situation may change. I guess on average, it used to be if you have 1 million to retire, that should be enough for you, but that number has changed. It looks like more like 3 million per individual to retire and live a comfortable life while enjoying their hobbies and having and traveling and incorporating travel as part of their journey as well. So those are the kind of things that you need to work on. Now, what does passive real estate provide? Passive real estate provides cash flow. So you get regular dividends on your investment. You get money, and depending on how you invest, that could be every quarter, every year, every 6 months, so on and so forth. There is an upside. The money that you invest is growing. So your initial investment is appreciating. So in addition to the dividends that you get, which is cash flow, which is, for instance, you invested into an apartment complex, you are getting every 2-3 months dividends on the profit that is being made off of the running of the apartment complex. However, in addition to that, the value of the apartment complex is also increasing over years. So when the final sale happens, which will be in X amount of years, usually we keep our properties for at least 3 to 5 years, matured, let them mature, and then sell them. And then you get a major return from there. So in addition to your dividends, you are going to get a major upside with the growth of your initial capital, and you get plenty of tax benefits. Now, this is something that is very variable depending on your professional situation. For some people, the tax benefits would be way more than others. And this is again would be something that you would discuss with your CPA. But there are considerable tax benefits when you invest in real estate. And diversification in your portfolio is to and to include passive real estate in your portfolio income can definitely lower any volatile stock market risks that you may be taking. I mean, I think most of people that I know or talk to have some X amount of money invested into stock market. Some people feel very, very comfortable with their money growing and being in the stock market. However, it is very volatile. I personally don't invest as much into stock market because despite despite I think despite knowing that that can give you considerable returns, I also worry about stock market crashing, and if uh, and just probably not even I think I worry about its stability. It's similar to cryptocurrency, for instance, or other similar investment opportunities. I feel like real estate over years has been a very stable um, uh, investment opportunity. There have been some hiccups along the way, of course. Interest rates have gone up, but despite that, real estate investments are doing very, very well. At least in our experience, we have still, we feel it is, and it has been giving us our expected returns, which we had expected, particularly the properties that have fixed interest rates to begin with. So in future, I feel like things will get better over years. So I think focusing on involving real estate in your investment portfolio would be a very wise step for everyone to take. So for our final statement, I'm just going to go over real estate, uh, you know, uh, Headway Capital's investment opportunities that we have to offer. So Headway Capital, of course, it just does not involve multi-family or commercial real estate. That is how we started off with. Headway Capital occupied a bunch of initially distressed apartment complexes. Um, you know, did our required construction, repairs, matured those apartment complexes with the goal to sell them in future. We have sold a few, working on selling others and acquiring more apartment complexes in future, which are an opportunity that investors have to invest in it. Definitely, this has been a very hot investment opportunity. Usually goes by really fast when we do open our portfolio or try to advertise a portfolio of a new apartment complex that we try to acquire and try to reach out to investors to invest into it. This is something that guys kind of goes by. People definitely commit to it very, very fast. So for our new investors, I do advise them to stay up to date with our offerings, join our private investor list so that they can receive emails regarding new offerings and are able to get on the opportunity. We also like to get new investors to join our family. We definitely want more people to be a part of Headway Capital's team. And I think getting onto an opportunity early would definitely help you secure a spot. Now, in addition to these multifamily real estate opportunities, Headway Capital does have an income fund, which is very, very sweet. In our real estate income fund, we basically provide a fixed 8% return on your investment. We do want you to invest at least 50,000 in this income fund, but the return is guaranteed. So it's an 8% guaranteed return per year. There's no long term, there's no growth or long term return in addition to that 8%. But the good thing about this is, of course, the returns are way better than keeping your money in your bank account or in certain other investment opportunities. The return is guaranteed and your cash is liquid. So this is not a long-term hold. If you wish to withdraw your money or want to use it for something that comes up in your life, you can give us a 3-month notice and withdraw your entire investment that you invested, which doesn't hold true for long-term holds with the multifamily investment opportunities. But with real estate income fund, you can definitely it's almost like having liquid cash. We just need a 3-month notice and you can pull your investment out. Headway Capital, we also have passive investment opportunities in car washes. This is rather new for us. We did close a portfolio of 4 car washes last year. They've been doing really, really well for us. We basically bought the business as well as real estate. So I think the returns are higher because of that. And we are definitely looking for more opportunities. And if any of those come up, we do keep our investors well informed through our emails and for the investors who are a part of our private investor list. So how do you become part of our Headway Capital's private investor list? If you're interested in gaining access to our private investor real estate offerings, you will need to join our exclusive private investor club. By joining the club, you will get access to member-only in-person events. So every 2 weeks, Headway Capital does host an in-person event, which would be mostly at one of our properties, or it is sometimes a social dinner that we host where you would have an opportunity to meet the team. But if the event is at one of our apartment complexes, you can see how Henry Capital works. You can meet our staff. You can actually touch, feel, see, a possible or something similar opportunity at what we have to offer at Henry Capital, and that really helps to give you a perspective of what of our goals, our focus, how we work, and also helps you meet us, be friends with us, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have. We have again member-only investor property tours. You get access to online real estate educational webinars. So in addition to me, Brian, Alfaro, as well as Nichami, they both host some educational webinars, and some of our other friends, team members do them as well. But if there is a particular topic that you want us to kind of put some slides together and talk to you about it, we're happy to do that, and we're happy to uh, uh, you know answer any questions for you through emails or through a phone call if that is needed. In addition to that, you have exclusive private investment opportunities. Now, I do advise you investors that these investment opportunities do go by really fast. We have investors who have invested with us for over years, and continue to do so. So, for new investors to join, I think it's important for you to have a sort of kind of an idea for yourself in much in advance, so that when an opportunity actually opens up, you're ready to invest. Because again, these offerings are taken up by other investors very, very fast. What would be the requirements? You have to submit an application. You have to complete a qualification call. Usually that's done by Brian Alfaro, but during that call, and not only he, makes sure that you and you are a right fit for us and we're right fit for you. But in addition to that, he is a fund of knowledge. So for any questions that you may have, that is the right time to ask them. You have to be an accredited investor, which means that either you have 1 million net worth, not including your primary residence, or 200K single income, or 300K income as a married couple to be an accredited investor. And my capital only accepts accredited investors for our investment options. This is our QR code. Please scan it. It will lead you to our application form, and you can fill that out and submit it. And continue and get on the journey with us. Now I'm open to any questions that you may have. If you do, please post them in the Q&A box. Okay, our first question is that how do I know if I am an accredited investor? So, for an accredited investor, as I said, it's you need at least 1 million net worth, which does not include your primary residence, or 200,000 personal yearly income, or 300,000 as a married couple. But Brian can also answer any questions if there is any confusion with that. Sometimes patients have their own personal income, but they have income coming from other assets, and they have questions regarding if they are an accredited investor or not. Brian can definitely, during your qualification call, answer those questions for you. Okay, so the second question is that how I have planned my retirement journey. Well, I think that's how I made this presentation. Well, over years, I've thought about all those things for myself. I think I have very, very clear idea about what my expenses look like. And to be very honest, try to invest so I can get enough passive income to offset all my expenses. So of course, those expenses are fluid. They keep changing as my kids are growing older. Things definitely do keep changing, but I do keep an extra cushion in my budgeting, and I have a focus that ultimately, you know, all my living big expenses, that is my focus, that I have to offset all of them with passive income. I believe in it myself, and that is going to be my best advice to other people as well. Okay, I think that's it with the questions. We're also like about on time. So if anything else comes up, please reach out to us. Of course, scan our QR code to learn more about our Headway Capital, income fund, or if you have any questions about our portfolio, our investment opportunities, and then join our investor list. It was a pleasure having all of you here, and we'll meet again in 4 weeks. Take care of yourself. Bye. Hi, this is Anna. I was trying to call you back and call you in regards to your questions. If you can please call me back. My number is 832-557-6789. Um, I think any time from now to the next maybe 45 minutes will take care. Bye. Hello. Yes. Good. How are you? Yes, definitely. So I joined in September 2021. So it's been years. So about I really liked it. I think I it was a little bit of an adjustment in the beginning. So this was I mean I this was my first job that I kind of joined straight out of fellowship. So of course just being kind of a new attending, I just had a couple of like things that I had to adjust to, but I think it's a very, very nice place to work. From what I hear around, from what I see around, I think I'm in a much better place than almost anybody else that I know of. So it just really depends on what your goals are. But I personally, I mean, if somebody asks me, I think this job does provide a ton of job satisfaction for, I guess, just to put it that way. Yeah, a little bit over time. So I think that was about how much we allowed, above 15,000 reviews, something that we generated last year. But it kind of varies every year, but yeah, I would say between 15 to 16,000, 16,500. That's how much we're doing for each. So I'm sorry, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? I'm sorry, Sway just messaged me about you in that group chat. I had no idea about where you're coming from or where you are at in life right now. So, okay. Okay, where in Pakistan? I'm from Lahore. So I did med school from Ahmed. Oh, okay, awesome. So you 2013. So I was, according to Sims, that would be 2014 class. So you know how our fan does graduate you a couple of months early. So I would be class of 2014. But yeah, so I was, yeah. What about you? 2008 graduate. Okay, that's awesome. So are you a part of the APGNA group as well? Are APGNA, you not? You are a part of that group. No, not up now. Like APG, APGNA. Okay, you're a part of this. Did you attend meetings? I don't know if I've seen you. Okay. Thanks. Okay, good. Oh, cool. So that's nice. अच्छा, 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 okay, okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Right. So I mean, आपको इस्लामिक स्कूल का फोकस से मूव कर रहे हैं या फिर ओके हाँ 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 नहीं आई थिंक इट मैटर्स अ लॉट आपके बच्चे हैं वन सन ग्रेड 5 ओके नहीं आई थिंक इट मैटर्स अ लॉट मैं आपको अपना बताती हूँ तो ऑफ कोर्स मेरा मेरा मैं आपकी तरह इतना एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है मुझे इतने सालों का लेकिन मतलब आई ग्रेजुएटेड आई फिनिश्ड TGI fellowship 2021 and then I joined Methodist. So I knew Methodist before because I did residency from Houston Methodist. So जब मैं Houston में थी पहले तो जब मैंने ह्यूस्टन में मैंने रेजिडेंसी के लिए मैं मूव हुई थी यहाँ पे, so उस टाइम पे मैंने as a resident I'd seen all the programs. So Baylor, Memorial Hermann, St. Luke's, VA, आपको आपकी सब फ्रेंड्स रेजिडेंट्स के साथ दोस्ती होती है. I always felt that I was the best place because I mean I आपने मेथोडिस्ट देखा, of course आपने विजिट नहीं किया या आपने देखा, सुना होगा, पिक्चर्स देखी होगी या ये वो. Methodist is a very nice hospital system. Like, and I'm not just saying that because मैं आपको as a resident मुझे ऐसा feel होता है कि मैं पता नहीं कहाँ में, it's a very glamorous place. Like our medical center hospital just looks beautiful. Like that's what it is. And then in addition to that, it's very physician oriented. So for me, like that was very important because जब मैं अपने attendings को देखती थी, मैं अपने even as a resident, I felt that I was always cared for. While जब मैं दूसरे लोगों को देखती थी जो लोग बेलर में थे और अदर, उन वो लोग हमेशा इस तरह की बातें करते थे कि हम बहुत बिजी हैं, and I was like I am equally busy, लेकिन my coordinator here is always asking me how she can make things better for me. Like a lot of things, like if I would go to a meeting for instance, like I had I'm just saying that आप DW में जाना है, ACG में जाना है, मैं अगर एक साल में 5 या 6 मीटिंग की भी जगह जाती थी, Methodists would like fund it. They just wanted me to like be there to like present or do things. They would give me extra days off if I needed to, like those kind of things, like they were invested in. So, after my training, I just kind of felt that, this was gonna be my the place that I was going. So मेरे दिमाग में हमेशा से था कि मैंने Methodist वापस आना है. But फिर मैंने, ह्यूस्टन में of course हम अपने options देखते हैं, तो मैंने बहुत सारी private practice के साथ interview किया. Private practices, Memorial Hermann, you name it, like different hospital system. And I just realized कि ह्यूस्टन में अभी आपका मुझे नहीं पता आपके एरिया में कितना है, बट यहाँ पे सारी practices are kind of bought out by private equity already. तो ये जो यहाँ पे जो GI Alliance है, that has bought out most of the bigger private groups already. There are some small private practices which are not yet bought out, but the problem with them would be कि जब तक आप join करेंगे और जब तक आप partner करेंगे, there is a very high likelihood that they would be bought out because insurance reimbursement इतनी low है. So काफी सारे लोग, they're just preferring having private have been bought out by like GI Alliance for instance, because that way they can negotiate higher like reimbursement contracts, so on and so forth. So that is something that is Houston, Dallas, Austin में नहीं है, but Houston और Dallas में mostly practices are a part of GI Alliance already. Similar in Atlanta, Phoenix, so on and so forth. So that was my thing. फिर उसके बाद I joined Sugarland. I did not join Methodist Way even though I had that option of like a different site as well. Sugarland मैंने इसलिए choose किया because Sugarland is like a community site, but it's not a community hospital. Like अगर आप Sugarland Methodist को देखें, I feel like the kind of diseases or acuity that you would deal with is very comparable to like something that's being dealt with at the medical center. Surely we're not a transplant center, so we don't do liver transplants. We don't do like those kind of things. But we do manage patients up to that point, and then we transfer them to get their transplant. Stuff like that. So those are the kind of things like I think Methodist does offer. ऐसा नहीं लगता कि आप एक community hospital में काम करें जो एक outside hospital होता है कि उनको कुछ भी नहीं पता और बस एक बस बैंडेड लगा रहे हैं और फिर आप मेडिकल सेंटर घूमेंगे जहाँ पेशेंट्स को बहुत अमेजिंग केयर मिलेगी. ऐसा नहीं है यहाँ पे बहुत I mean, all the providers are very, very very collegial environment. सब लोग बहुत very well. Everybody is very, very well trained, and you will see it. Like that's the kind of environment that there is. The other thing is, depending on what your goals are, this is a clinical practice, and for me, that was a very important thing for me. Okay, I did not want. मैंने बहुत रिसर्च कर ली थी अपनी अब तो जीआई फेलोशिप आपने पहले की थी, मेरे टाइम पे बहुत मुश्किल होती थी, अब तो बहुत ही मुश्किल हो गई. इवन मेरे टाइम पे बहुत मुश्किल थी और बहुत रिसर्च थी और ये सब कुछ मैंने बहुत किया. I realized I was like, this is not my thing. Like, I will surely become part of studies, but I'm not going to be continue doing like तो यहाँ पे प्रैक्टिस क्लिनिकल है, इनका फोकस ये है कि eventually they will include you into big trials, जो medical center में conduct होंगे, and we will recruit patients and enroll them into those trials. But I think that's how far we are at right now. Other than that, it's a clinical practice. You may start seeing fellows here eventually, because that is another thing we want to incorporate here. But I think for me, like it's not a major advantage to have a fellow. I think of it as a kind of a disadvantage, to be very honest, because it is a very busy practice. यहाँ पे हर चीज बहुत busy है, people are very, but the busyness here is self-generated. So मैं अगर busy हूँ, but I'm a female GI. So we have another female GI who's joined us recently. But even in my area in Sugarland, like Sugarland is a very desi sort of, not desi, like मेरे ज़्यादातर patients desi होते नहीं हैं. Lekin it is a relatively conservative, I would say, not conservative, but like people like females, white females, Mexican females, or they would prefer seeing females. So because of that, I primarily see female patients. So I have a busy practice. I think आपकी RVU जो आप बता रहे हैं हमारे वो, that is very true. Like we do generate like about anywhere from like 40,500 to 70,000 RVUs a year. And it just depends on what kind of year that is, but it is busy. I think Methodist is very generous with RVU reimbursement too. Now that would mean that we do work a lot, but I think Methodist ऐसे नहीं करता कि वो बीच में आपके RVUs काट दे, क्योंकि मैंने कुछ मेरे एक दो फ्रेंड्स हैं जो डिफरेंट अदर हॉस्पिटल एम्प्लॉयड प्रैक्टिस में काम कर रहे हैं, और जब मैं उनसे बात करती हूँ कि वो कितना काम कर रहे होते हैं, तो कभी कभार मुझे ऐसा फील होता है, आई मीन ऑफ कोर्स हर बंदे का परसेप्शन ऑफ देयर वर्क इज डिफरेंट, लेकिन मुझे वो बता रहे होते हैं कि अच्छा हम इतने पेशेंट्स देख रहे हैं, हम इतने प्रोसीजर्स कर रहे हैं, और उनके RVUs मेरे से बहुत कम होते हैं. तो आई एम लाइक ऐसे कैसे लाइक हो सकता है, बट ऐसा नहीं, ऑफ कोर्स मेथोडिस्ट इज नॉट लाइक आपको गिफ्ट नहीं दे रहा, यू अर्न दैट. बट आई फील लाइक यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं होता कि अगर आपने काम किया हुआ है, तो मुझे कभी ऐसा फील नहीं हुआ कि जी मुझे हर चीज को लाइक वॉच करना है, या मुझे अपने नंबर्स को फॉलो करना है, या मुझे अपनी रिपोर्ट्स उनसे मंगवानी है. वो तो आपको भेजते ही हैं, लाइक महीने में 3-4 दफा आपको अपनी रिपोर्ट्स भेजते हैं. लेकिन ऐसा कभी मुझे फील नहीं हुआ कि अच्छा इन्होंने कुछ गलती की है. और यहाँ के मैनेजर बहुत अच्छे हैं, यू नो आपको, there's a lot of support staff that's there. So I think I've been very happy in the sense कि मतलब depending on your goals, I think as an early, अगर मैं private practice में join करती I make way more than I would make if I had joined a private practice in the first 3 years. Of course, things would be different after I become a partner in a private practice, but for a hospital employed group, I think it Methodist is pretty reasonable with their salaries, what they provide, and it's a great environment to work. और ये जो आप हमारे जो ये 15,000 14,000 आदमी जो भी हैं, ये मेरे या स्वे के या हमारे, लाइक ये ये मेथोडिस्ट की एक्सपेक्टेशन आपसे, फॉर इंस्टेंस जब आप ज्वाइन करेंगे, आपसे एक्सपेक्टेशन प्रॉब्ली होगी 7,500 7,000 वो उस पे आपकी सैलरी देना. तो जो भी आपकी सैलरी वो ऑफर करते हैं, वो आपको ये कहेंगे कि अच्छा इफ यूर जॉइनिंग आपकी इतनी सैलरी है, पर आप इतने आर्मीज के लिए आपकी इतनी सैलरी होगी, फर्स्ट 2 इयर्स गारंटीड है, फिर उसके बाद आपको अपनी सैलरी को जस्टिफाई करने के लिए इतना आर्मीज बनाते हैं. अब उससे पर so they it's different. There is of course a base salary जो मुझे नहीं पता कि आप लोगों की क्या base salary होगी, because I think as an early as a fellow मेरा fellow contract है, so I think मेरी base salary आप लोगों से बहुत कम होगी. But as 375, yeah, that sounds about right. So हमारी मेरी मुझे जो ऑफर नहीं, एक्चुअली आपको 375 इसने आपको नीना ना ऑफर किया. Okay. Yeah, 375 doesn't seem a little bit right. I think it should probably be 385 or 400. but I think I would verify it with somebody. But हमारे इस तरह से कि अभी हम लोग को जैसा मुझे base salary मैं आपको अपनी बता देती हूँ, I don't mind it. It's like 350,000 for 6,000 RVU, and then everything on top of that I get bonus, and you get bonus every 3 months. So for every single RVU, there's no donut hole या कोई black hole जो भी like कोई बात करते हैं कुछ भी नहीं. So every single RVU. तो यहाँ पे ऑफर करते हैं अगेन मेरा डिफरेंट हो सकता है, जो मुझे अपना पता है वो 55. So they offer $55 per RV on top. And then of course as a more experienced GI, there's gonna be things that they will offer you which they will not. But there's like but that you can talk to them about. So my average day looks like, so I work 5 days a week. And I take off. I mean, as long as you're making your 7,500 RVUs, you can do whatever. So I work 5 days a week. On Mondays, I do only clinic from 8:30 to 1:45. The rest of the days, I figure that out myself. तो कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको 7 to 5 या 8 to 5 जॉब करनी है या कुछ भी. So some days I start procedures at 8 o'clock. I finish clinic at 3:15, and then I'm done. Some days I, start my day at 7:30. I I don't take a lunch break. That's my personal preference. So I just keep moving. So the whole time I'm seeing patients from like the beginning when I begin. So some days I start at 7:30. I do my procedures in the morning, and then I come to clinic. I see my clinic patients. I would be done at 3:45. I sometimes do notes at work. Sometimes take them home. It just depends on what my kids are doing and stuff. So um, so that's that. I mean, પાંચ, if you're saying beyond 5 here, that's probably because you're on call. So you're seeing call patients and stuff, which I take call 5 days a month. So, on days I am here past 5 o'clock. But if you're past 5 o'clock here, that's because you're doing your own admin work. Like ऐसा नहीं होगा कि आप 5 बजे पेशेंट देख रहे हैं, हमें से कोई भी 5 बजे पेशेंट देख रहा. So we have, yeah, So we have an inpatient NP. It's actually Sway's NP. Sway must have told you he's coming from a private practice. So it's his NP who he trained, and he's very, very good. So जब वो call हमारे पे होती है तो हमारा NP call cover करता है. So he sees inpatients, and हम यहाँ पे system ये है कि आपको consults आपको आती है. So the NP ऐसा नहीं होता कि कोई list में consult जा रही है जैसे, so consult will come to you. So what I do is that I look at the consult, I check the numbers and everything. And doing it for, मुझे 2 years, आपको इतने साल हो गए, तो आपको पता ही होता है कि क्या करना है patient के साथ. So, I let my NP know that this consult came in, and he's actually very good. Like हमारी एक list होती है जिसमें अगर कोई consult डाले तो वो list पे show हो जाती है. So वो उस list को भी track कर रहा होता है constant. So then I just let him know that this consult came in, and then he would go see the patient. And if we agree on the plan, अगर मुझे उसको scope करना है आज, so I would just tell him to put that patient on the schedule. Then if अगर मुझे time मिलता है, then I go see the patient between cases. अगर मुझे time नहीं मिलता तो फिर वो pre-op में आ जाते हैं. I see the patient and answer any questions because the NP has already spoken to them and everything. Then I see the patient there. अगर मुझे उसी दिन procedure करना है, अगर मुझे उस दिन procedure नहीं करना और next day पे है या कोई और किसी की consult है, then I just see them after my day. So so I'm not, a lot of times I'm probably rounding for maybe 45 minutes during the day. The rest of the day time I am doing inpatient cases too, but at the end of the day I would see everyone. Then like I start rounding up 4 o'clock. Yeah. So just to ask Aditya, so I told you, so I had 27 patients in all, and I did from 27 patients in all. So I did 7 to 3:15. 7:45 to 3:15. So at 7:45 I started scoping. I finished at 12. I did 13 patients. And then after that, my last patient was at 12. So 7:45 to 12, I had 13 patients. Finished at 12:30, discharged them. Then came to clinic, started cleaning around like 12:45, and 12:45 to 3:15, I saw the rest. So 14 patients in clinic, and then in like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, or 3 hours around approximately. मिक्स्ड होता है जी स्क्रीनिंग कोलन के आपको अगर जितना 14 पेशेंट्स है उनमें से 2 या 3 स्क्रीनिंग कोलन होंगे प्राइमरली मोस्टली स्क्रीनिंग कोलन के पेशेंट्स हमारे एनपी देखता है तो जो एनपी जब हम कॉल पे नहीं होते तो वो सिर्फ पूरा दिन स्क्रीनिंग कोलन फिर या वो रिफ्लक्स के पेशेंट्स देखेगा जो बिल्कुल पेशेंट बाकी आप every 15 minutes, yeah. Every 15 minutes, my schedule is mostly like some extra book. Book for them. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, not yes, I know. But I try to check on and got good work on it. Actually, kind of enjoying some but working on it. Now, I think हमारी reservation of हमारा यहाँ का primary care बहुत very 7 So that is that. So that's so because of that, I think now this is the so that is what is going about. So and I think we just need to but I think that so all the patients that are on. हाँ तो चिंता एक्चुअली काफी वो है क्योंकि हम लोग खाली कॉल करेंगे तो हम लोग खाली इसलिए है सो आई ओनली कवर कॉल 5 days तो आई थैंक यू तो वो खाली but with the not actually call so it just depends on what you so when I'm out I just call so if that she feels that when it comes to that so you cannot then she will become yeah, so patients can be very patient